It's funny. All of my friendships seem to be formed out of like nights of drinking.
That's
because I can tell.
how
I
it works.
like a guy.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna post up with me and we're really gonna get some, as Dan Soder says, get some work done.
Yeah.
Like
anything past like childhood, I'm gonna meet you and learn about you in a bar setting.
It's three options. It's substance abuse, church, or support group.
Subscribe to the podcast, KFC Radio on YouTube.
Bang.
Diving into the sandwich shop game, huh?
Yeah.
Brick and mortar. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Good time to do that.
Bar and sandwich shop.
It looks like a cool spot.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
It's where is it? Rivington Street?
174 Rivington Street and Lower East Side, kind of in the thick of it down there. And it's been fun so far. We've only been open a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But we really tried to. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, this
is it. Oh,
okay. This is one of our more professional beginnings. Usually people are like, "Wait, what the fuck is this? What?" Now we're going.
Good. All right, here we go. No, we tried to create something that was reminiscent of what the neighborhood used to be, and which you can still find in certain parts of that neighborhood.
Is that where you're from?
No, I'm from Philly, but Philly was also a place that, I was born in Philly. I grew up outside of Norristown, Pennsylvania. But I mean, those areas and neighborhoods, and they were very neighborhoody. It was like corner bars were a big thing.
Right.
And
Nothing better.
Yeah, and it was me and my partner Paul Italia wanted to. We had the sandwich shop thing that we were doing at the stand. We were doing it as a pop-up, but it was just sandwiches. And then when we started to look into doing an actual brick and mortar location, we really wanted to bring our love of those old timey bars into it, and offer more of a full and complete experience. And then with COVID and everything, it started to actually become sort of a greater concept, because then we were like, well, we can actually maybe provide something that people really could use right now, which is affordable, delicious food and cheap drinking, if you want, so like that was kind of the
how
the
far
mission
along
statement.
were you when COVID hit? Were you like, fuck?
No, this was born. The idea, I had the idea years ago.
Yeah.
When I lived in LA, because you couldn't find a good sandwich outside of a Jewish deli.
Right.
There were some cheesesteak places that were pretty good, and then there were some Jewish delis that were great.
In LA, there's good cheesesteaks?
Yeah, there's some Philly and Jersey transplant guys out there. They're doing solid cheesesteaks.
Cool.
Booze is awesome if you ever go out there. But like the hoagie game I found was lacking, and I found it was really tough to find. So I started making my own like East Coast style sandwiches at home. And then I really liked them, and I started to write down the recipes, and I just kind of was like, it'd be so cool to have like an old just style like sandwich shop. And that was when I came up with the idea, but I just put it on my computer and I set it aside. I never thought it would become anything.
Right.
And in the depths of the first lockdown, Paul and I were talking, and he just very passively said, man, like a lot of people are abandoning ship right now. A lot of people are leaving the city. You're going to see a lot of opportunities come up because people that stay will be able to survive.
So you guys really had balls then. I was assuming you were like well along in the process, and then you kind of were like, well, we're pot committed.
We
But you started it after everything.
We started an $8 sandwich pop-up in the lockdown. And
that was a time I almost got into the bar business a handful of times.
Oh God, heaven help us.
Because we were like I had buddies in Boston who were just like, yeah, this bar is closed.
Well, that's
it's
the
like
thing.
it's really cheap to get the liquor license or whatever.
We were talking to John Taffer when all of this very, very, very early, like first week, and he was talking like, I'm probably gonna swoop in and buy like all of these places that have the kitchens and the ventilation and everything set up. I'm going to buy them for like pennies on the dollar and, flip them. So there definitely was opportunity, but you had to be able to, to do it.
Yeah, that was, we have a lease. Like it wasn't, that would be nice to be able to flip restaurants.
Restaurateur game, but.
No, what did happen, and it's a shame that it took a pandemic to make it happen in New York, but that rent real estate bubble finally popped here, albeit for a sort of brief amount of time.
It's pretty much back, if not worse. But,
yeah. So, but in that time, you were able to at least rent something for what it was worth versus what they could get from you.
Right.
And that's what we did. But yeah, when we started the pop-up, it was in the heart. It was takeout only. It was before you could even eat back inside. It was full lockdown. We got locked down twice during that pop-up, I remember. And we were doing to-go and delivery orders from the stand of these sandwiches. And all my friends were making fun of me because they were like, $8. Like, what are you, stupid? Like this will never survive. Like, what are you doing?
Meaning
Meaning it was too cheap.
Too cheap. I was gonna say $8 is fucking great.
Yeah. Being everything is closing, and you're like trying to give people deals. You know, but I don't know.
When I heard that, I'm like, finally, like someone not fucking me in the ass for a sandwich. You know?
Yes, I agree. And I will tell you, it has changed because it's not just like you throw it together and say we're going to charge this. We had to figure out how to make it work for that price. Without it being chintzy, without us losing money, with it being a satisfying product. There's a lot, there's a lot of trial and error and figuring out like the amounts and all that stuff. But once you figure that all out, you realize how hard you're getting gouged at so many places. It's gross. It's gross. There. I won't name names, but there are places in the city that I used to really have a great admiration for because of their longevity that now I'm like, fuck you guys. It's so gross what you're doing.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
You don't want to say Katz's out loud?
I was gonna say. Like long-term delis. Because you know why that's easy to find?
I went to Katz's the other night. I was
like $25, right?
It was like $30.
I think it's $27 a sandwich now, I believe.
Which
I think
is insane. But also the reason why it's so easy to figure out what you're talking about, there's not many good delis.
No.
They're really, I think people just kind of, you go across the river to Jersey, you go to Hoboken, and those places, there's a million. They're all delicious, the fresh mutts, everything's Italian. And I guess you have the Jewish delis if you're into the pastrami and all that kind of shit. But if you're looking for just like a good Italian place, good Italian deli, there's not many. And I don't think people realize that. I find myself going to fucking like Lenny's because it's like, I don't know, it's better than some of the other. There's DeFonte's for a minute over there on the east side, but like not many places for Italian sandwiches that I really like.
Yeah, the Brooklyn DeFonte's is still there, but I missed the one that was in Gramercy.
It was like a little bit lower. But it was the same thing, and it was good. It was fine. I used to live on Murray Hill, so I went there all the time, and then that shut down. I don't even know when, but other than that, there's not many.
It's not. I mean, crazy. Like our whole goal was we were like, if we can figure out a way to charge Subway prices, but give like quality sandwiches, homemade bread, all that stuff. We were like, then we could really have something good here, and we figured out a way to do it, and we're very lucky. Look, I'm very lucky to know Paul. Paul's he's like the quintessential New Yorker, and
I've always wanted to own a bar. We've talked about it all the time.
I was gonna say you achieved like the guy dream.
Yeah,
like
sandwiches and
that's
and you got your name on it. I've always wanted a sandwich named after me, let alone owning the fucking place.
They're like the three things like as a kid. Maybe it's even two. It's band and bar. The two things like you and your buddies always talk about doing.
Right,
like, we would do one day. Like,
it's like semi-attainable.
It's like but it's also it's just like it's what you like. It's like the kind of bar you like. And you're like it's just a place to hang out.
We've always wanted to
hang out.
We wanted to do like almost an Always Sunny bar where it's like we don't want it to be a thriving place. We don't want it to be a hot spot. I almost want it to be a failure that just stays afloat so we can sit there and drink for free.
Yeah, no, the idea, the interest in owning a bar came from It's Always Sunny when I first saw it. When the show first came out, watching it and just being like, why don't more people do this? Like, it seems like if you don't have a fancy bar, this seems like attainable almost.
Yeah.
And I just thought it would be so cool. But again, I just kind of put it away in the back of my head. And then when we were designing this place, Paul and I really focused in on like, it's got to feel like it's been there for a while. Like it can't, and it also can't be a fake dive. It can't be a dive that you go in. It's not a dive really. It says social club on the sign because We wanted it to feel more warm and old school versus like trashy. But I love dives. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But anyway,
fabricating a dive is the worst of all.
Yeah.
You're automatically going to try to make it a dark, like, hole in the wall. Like, let it be that if it's going to be that.
Exactly. So we tried to aim for. We looked at a lot of movies and things that took place in the neighborhood.
Was there any one that like really?
There was a bunch. Thief was one. James Caan, Thief. And I don't remember if Thief is actually in New York. One of the movies was actually set in Boston that we watched, but it was Thief. It was Mean Streets. It was all that stuff. But then, like, as we started to go in the process, we started bringing in other elements. So, like, I was like, I want there to be. I kept saying Paul's Boutique. That was like my barometer. I was like, that album to me is the crossroads of the apex of everything Lower East Side. Like, it's got like the disco elements, it's got the hip hop elements, it's got the punk elements, it's got the old fashioned vintage element. It had everything. And come to find out, after we had signed the lease and started working on it, the cover of that album was shot 2 blocks from the bar.
Oh shit.
Which there's a mural there now of the Beastie Boys because it's the old Paul's Boutique. And I was like, holy shit.
Well, that's how you know you were like on the right track.
Yeah.
Like,
So like our bar top is all classic hip hop flyers and posters. It's a collage.
Very cool.
It looks really cool. We've got movie discs on the wall of a lot of the classic movies. The bathrooms are like black and glitter, so like they have a little of that Studio 54 vibe.
The club era.
Yeah, the back room is like all wood walls, red vinyl booths. It's like very like sort of old school, like Studio 54 meets Sinatra kind of lounge.
This is fucking awesome.
Yeah. You know, so
yeah,
you guys got to come down. Like we really tried to make it like seamlessly like all these different eras.
Was there a thought to make it like an Instagram type of spot? I know so many bars or places are just like, this is the wall where you're going to take pictures in front of this, which is kind of, cheesy or whatever, but it also, you make your spot like a social media spot and it fucking works.
We lucked out because that's never anything either of us would have thought of. But we lucked out.
Everything you just described sounds like,
What happened was, as we were designing it, we had the help of 1 or 2 different artists come through. And we were saying like, hey, so we're going to put this neon sign in this little thing here. And it's going to say the Rose Room. And it's going to be like the entrance to this back room. And one of the designers was like, that's like super Instagrammable. Do you realize it's right across from a mirror? And we were like, well, yeah, what does that mean? And they were like, this is where people, and sure enough, people have been doing it. Like, awesome. And so we lucked out in a couple of like Ted Munns, who's a great tile mosaic artist, made us a sign for the front, and just like was like, hey, dude, like I'd love to make a sign for the place.
That's the one that's right out front, like the main.
Not
sign?
the main sign, but inside when you walk in, there's a tile mosaic sign, and he made the sign for. I have a podcast called Taste Buds that he did this. He does signs for a lot of podcasts. So I was like, yeah, dude, please. Like, I would love to have one of those in the bar. And then, like, again, like, just by luck, somebody was like, this is like a really Instagrammable area. Like, this is like a real good selfie spot. But, like, I don't know, man. It just kind of...
That's the better ways to do it.
Kind of came
when you
together.
try to jam that down people's throats, it doesn't really work. But if you just
right?
make cool shit and people want to take pictures or go there or experience it or whatever, that's kind of the goal.
Have you like found material through it yet? Like, is it like I know whenever like I've become like friends with a handful of bartenders in New York, and like every time I talk to them, I'm like, and this is probably partly because I'm so fucking lame, and like that's how my brain works. I'm like, you should have a podcast, dude. And, like where it's like you're gonna see one of the bars I go to, like the bartender used to be like Keith Richards' bodyguard whenever he was in New York. He called him up, and then like I know another one who like became friends with Post Malone. And like you guys all have crazy fucking stories, and I imagine you have that even just regular bartenders who haven't gotten to know famous people. We're just like they have one crazy story that happened to them working one night in New York.
Yeah, it's no wild stories yet, but not. I haven't been doing much stand up because I've been so focused on this, so my head hasn't been in that space. I'm actually going out this weekend, Friday and Saturday, to do. Sal Vulcano is doing some theaters in Boston and in AC, and I'm going with him to open and just kind of do some time and hang out with my buddy. But like, I haven't done any stand up in like weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I
I've
feel
been
like
so focused
everything I've
on-
learned from your breed is like, I guess if you're just focusing on something else, though, you're not just sitting around. But I feel like
Yeah,
when
no, it's
you
just
when
been
you hear
all the
about
bar.
comics not getting on stage, it's like they're going through withdrawal.
Yeah, that's
They're
stupid.
dramatic assholes.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
yeah.
hear, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Comics are so annoying with all that shit. Like,
They've
Dude,
been
back in-
quite
yeah.
dramatic throughout
Yeah.
the pandemic.
I'm back in town. I need to get on, man.
Yeah.
Shut up. So fucking stupid.
Gotta do your like 7 minutes. Like, shut the fuck up.
You haven't figured this out yet? You don't. 20 years, you don't know how to go just on the road and make a joke work by now? Okay. Anyway, I mean, look, there's value to it, but you know. But no, I don't. I was always like that though. I was never.
Like obsessive with it.
Yeah, I was always like, like before we opened, my schedule. I put in avails Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was like, the other days are mine to do the things I want to do. They
Right.
might be work days, but they're work of a different kind. I was
Sure.
just like, I don't need to get up at 11:30 p.m. on a Monday.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
I've done
we
it.
were. Who was it? Oh, we were talking to the garbage guys, and Foley was like, yeah, I'm free that night. I just got like a 12:30 spot." And I was like, "He's gonna fucking wait till almost 1 a.m. It's just crazy." But
Yeah.
I mean, if you love it, you guys, you know, some of you love it, but
If
it's not for me, man.
Also, if you need it, then great.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
there's something you're getting out of it and it's useful, then great. But I think like you get to a point where it's just you're doing something by rote, and you know, I realized kind of early on. Like I remember one night I had to go to Stand Up New York, which I won't even go to anymore. Not because I don't like the club; it's too far. Mm-hmm. I'm not going above 23rd Street. I can get enough stage time below 23rd Street. Like that's
I
it.
love that. I forget sometimes that we have so many people who listen to podcasts who are so very far away from New York that like just won't even comprehend the idea. Like, what? He won't go another like 10 blocks? Like, no. There are. I've been here my whole life, and there are huge swaths of the city I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I lived in Murray Hill, lived on the Upper East Side. Now we kind of do this Chelsea thing. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You start talking to me about other neighborhoods. You could be from out of town. I have your guess is as good as mine in some of these spots.
That's yeah. I agree, man. I agree. But I remember one night. This was a long time ago. I was going up there on a Saturday. The spot was at like 11:45 or something. It was the only spot I had all night. And at that time, it was different owners than they have now. And at that time, also the crowds on Saturday night, the later shows were a little bit rowdier because they were more touristy and they were drunk.
Right.
And I remember I was out with my friend Ann Harris, and I said, all night, I was like, I got to go do this fucking spot. And she was like, why are you so upset about it? And I was like, because at this point, it is reduced to I'm going for $75.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Which half of I'm going to lose because I'm going to end up taking a cab up and a cab back because it's so late. I don't want to deal with the train and all that shit. And I was like, I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm not growing as a comedian. I'm just going to babysit this audience for 12 minutes. And look, $75 for 12 minutes is great money. I'm not scoffing at that. But I just was like, I remember that night very distinctly being like, that was like a real decision moment or crossroads moment rather, where I was like, I'm not doing that, man.
Fuck that.
Like if I don't have spots on a Saturday, I don't have spots on a Saturday. I'm not running around trying to figure out and I'm not going to, the other thing I think a lot of comics do is let their worth be defined by it. Like, oh, I suck because I'm a comic home on a Saturday night. It's like, it happens, man. Like to me, that would be like getting depressed because like when kids would get depressed because they got suspended from school. I'm like, that's the fucking jackpot. They're telling you don't come to school. Like, what are we talking about here? You know, these divorced dads. It's brutal. I only get my kids Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, the best case scenario, your weekends are wide open. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dude, it's money, bro. Being able to give them back it sucks. You cram it in. You got like really no help. You're doing it all on your own. But then like you do whatever your day, your night, your weekend, whatever, and then you're just like, There you go. It's fucking great. If married couples did the divorce schedule, there'd be more happy couples. There'd be more happy families. There'd be you're never, if your wife's like, it's your turn, it's your turn. You can't say to your wife,
funny.
it's your turn. No, it's our turn. When it's her turn, it's our turn. When it's your turn, it's fucking your turn.
Right.
And then everybody's up. Nobody gets any sleep. Everyone's mad. And then when you're divorced, it's just like, it's a schedule.
Dude.
It's not mass chaos.
Yeah, it's funny. I believe in two things very strongly. One is platonic marriage.
Okay. Explain how that goes a little bit.
I don't understand why marriage has to mean romance and sex. Like, why that fades after a very finite period of time.
Sure.
Why, like, a platonic marriage is a partnership where we have each other's backs.
Yeah.
And when you get sick, I'll be there and all that sort of stuff. You're in a bind, I'm here to help you. You're my partner. You could be two gay guys. You could be two straight guys. You could be a straight and a gay guy. You could be two straight women. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a partnership. And then go fuck and have fun outside of the house and date and be
But have kids with that person too?
no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, don't have kids.
I mean, no. I mean, it works.
If you
I
wanna
realize
have a
the concept
family, though,
works
what do
better
you-
if you don't have kids.
Right. Okay.
But also too, you could have kids. You could have kids from another marriage. You could adopt with that person.
Yeah.
My point is like once you bring in, or just mechanically have sex to make a kid,
Yeah.
and then that's it. But like my point is like once you bring romance into it, it just makes it so much more difficult.
Because
in
it's
my
the most
opinion.
illogical thing that we do.
Right.
Romance, your brain, nothing's logical there.
Yeah.
But then we try to make it, you're going to tie up your finances and your future and your family and your kids. All the things that need logic
Right.
are now being governed by the most illogical feeling you have, which is romance and lust and your fucking and jealousy and all
Right.
that shit. We got a guy who called into our show who's we mention him all the time. He got engaged. During the engagement, finally realized he was gay. Came out to his fiance. She was kind of like, fuck it, let's ride. They still got married. They had a kid. They're like the happiest couple I've ever met.
And he can have sex with guys.
Which I don't know if they've fully tested it yet, but that's the idea is that he can go sleep with guys. She's free to sleep with other guys.
That's what
too.
I'm saying.
And
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, you don't have completely tested it? They have, right?
I don't. Do we really have many details about I was
He had
I had a
one where,
boyfriend
someone
and she had a
picking her up.
boyfriend.
He's commented. We have a Facebook group. I'm pretty sure he's told
Yeah.
stories in there. Yeah.
Because I was always interested to be it's one thing to talk about it when you're hearing the fucking bed shake at night and
No, I think it's not in the home. It's
Right,
but he's
right.
definitely said guys have picked her up at a bar, and then she's like, "I'll see you in the morning."
That's crazy. I love it, but it shouldn't be
I mean,
crazy.
if it's it's no. I think no matter how heterosexual you are, even and how cool you are in that platonic relationship, you're like, look, you're not getting picked up in front of me.
That's a little
not
bit
happening.
much.
If you're I do not like the idea of vagina, I'd rather go fuck a guy. It's probably easier to get.
Well, what
around
I'm
with
waiting
that.
for is the day that Joe and her are into the same guy. Then we'll see what happens.
His name's Joe too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Gay Joe.
Yeah.
Joe is just sitting over there
He's
God,
like,
they're
what?
talking I'm not right here.
Yeah.
Are you single?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of a perpetual bachelor.
Smartest man in the room, dude.
I mean, it's not it's not because I'm against.
It's because you're a pig.
I'm a pig.
You're a disgusting pig.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would fucking marry you? You're gross.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I just haven't found the. I was dating.
But are you looking for it, or are you I don't need that shit?
It's neither. I'm just kind. I was
Just
dating.
living.
I was dating somebody recently, and I said, I broke it off, and she kind of kept bringing up to me that I had only ever been in a 9-month relationship, that was my longest relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned it a few times, and the second or third time she mentioned it, I was like, what is the criticism here? So that I haven't had, multiple year-long relationships like you have that have ended in tragedy. And I was like, I don't understand what your point is.
Right. If anything, I had foresight. I saw what was coming, and I pulled out before.
Right.
You can spin that even into a good thing. You can grow a whole human in that time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and it's just like so I just look at it as when it's right, it'll be right. But in the meantime, especially now too, like with the bar and then going on the road and doing 2 podcasts. And also trying to sell a book and all this other crap, you know, that we all do.
No time for any of that.
It's like I'm very, very selfish with my personal time. And the last thing I want is somebody saying, you have to be here at this time for this thing, because I just don't have the capacity for it right now. So
I've always said, like, when I'm talking about athletes, I used to be like, Derek Jeter did it the smartest, you know, had his career basically to the day. Like, he retired, got married, the next year he had a kid. It's like, I was like, just put it off, because you can, you know, retire when you're young.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, I got 2 kids.
And you're divorced?
Yeah.
What about you?
Nothing.
He's my 3rd kid.
Well, how old are you though?
I'm 36, so it was quick. Like, the marriage did not last. Yeah, so I got like a almost 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and the marriage crashed and burned. And it was funny because we like there's one guy in my group who's like the perpetual bachelor. Who, when we all started getting engaged, we were kind of like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, come on, like, pop the question. What are you waiting for?"
Right.
And now I'm divorced. He's miserable. This is how, you know, and he's kind of like the ultimate I told you so. And he's still happy as fuck. Dating a girl forever. Just didn't, you know, she's great. They're happy. Didn't put a ring on the finger. Didn't make it all official, but they're good.
It does change something. I don't know what.
Oh, it absolutely does.
I
I remember being like, well, we already live together. We're basically married. It's like the same people who say having a pet is like having a kid. No.
Well,
these things are wildly different. All of these things are different. Dating a girl and marrying a girl, very different. There's a reason why it's a thing. It's very different.
Well, the other thing that I strongly believe in is separate habitats. I don't understand why married people have to live together. I think living with somebody is very hard when you're not even involved like that. I think finding a partner, if you find somebody you want to really be the rest of your life with, whatever, and you're like, I'm ready to give up sex and everything just to be with this person. Why? What are the odds that person also is going to live well with the way you live? Mm-hmm. You're now bringing all kinds of other. What if they're messy? What if they're so much of the
you
tension?
set yourself up for failure almost.
Yeah,
know?
and I just don't get it. I like, let's have separate places, and I'll stay at your place sometimes. You stay at my place sometimes, but we have places we can escape to.
That's harder, I feel like. Because
Yeah?
then you have like you almost go into jail knowing I'm never leaving. When you're like, we live together. But when you have to do the like, I'm going to go home tonight. And then you always end up with like the, you are?
Yeah, it's almost like a fight every night.
Like, it's like, I'd rather be like, you know what, fine. I fucking live here now.
What it should be is
It's
a schedule. It's almost like the divorce thing. It's like, I stay here, you know, Monday, Tuesday, and I'm separate Wednesday, Thursday, whatever.
Like, why every week, though, couldn't you just set up your date nights? And those are the nights you spend together. And then also, when you have that fight and you walk out, they know where you're going. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going,
Or what about the same place, different rooms? So you're in under the same roof.
That's when you
have a separate
dinners.
Huh? Yeah, separate bed, separate dinners for me. I don't know if this was specific to me, but a couple of relationships I was in, it was like we always had to have the same thing for dinner. And not even when we were cooking. It was like, you want pizza? No. It's like, oh, you want Chinese? But I want pizza. So let's just fucking order from the same, different places and eat what we want, sleep when we want. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just tailor your whole life to someone else's schedule, desires, likes, dislikes. It's nuts.
I don't get it. A lot of therapists will tell you to to keep the sexual element alive in a relationship, in a monogamous relationship. Don't walk around topless. Don't walk around bottomless. Don't walk around naked from the shower, because covering yourself up keeps the allure going a little bit. Huh. If it's so benign that they just see you naked every,
it's not special.
Who cares anymore? It desexualizes it. Why would that? They also tell you don't jerk off a lot to porn if you want to still fuck your wife or whatever, because it's going to, again, it takes it desexualizes things. So like, why would that be any different and applied to like meals or whatever, or conversation? Sure. It's like, how much can we fucking talk about, man? Somebody said it to me once. I go, "How's it going with the girl?" And he goes, "Dude, it's brutal, dude." He goes, "I don't know. I have nothing left to talk to her."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I love her, but I just don't know what else to talk to her about." Like, I mean, of course, you need recharge time,
Right.
you know. But none
people
of
get
these-
so, you take offense to it almost. People get sensitive if you don't want to talk or don't want to eat together or whatever. But you gotta. I think it was Adam Carolla who once really described it really well as like a car engine or a machine engine, where it's like there's only so many hours you can run this thing. It's not about the time. It's about how many times you're like, pedal to the metal with this relationship.
Right.
Because if you burn it out, it's like the Seinfeld, the weekend away is worth like months in a relationship.
Right.
But yeah, it's all a catastrophe. Just stay single, open up a bar, and fucking sell sandwiches, man. You got the key, man. You figured it out, dude.
Yeah.
This is living the dream right here.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
You mentioned the other podcasts. I mean, Taste Buds has got to be one of the greatest things tailored, especially for Instagram, for social media. It's just such an easy. We used to do it like a similar idea back in the day, and when you can get two guys who can just argue either. Do you get to choose your sides? Mm-hmm. Could you argue either side of it? Do you think, or is it like truly passionate arguments? Yeah.
Sometimes we did Taco Bell versus KFC. I love both.
Yeah.
And I probably actually prefer KFC, but I argued Taco Bell because I was like,
it's crazy. Taco Bell is clearly superior.
Sal was like, I think I can only confidently argue KFC. And I was like, I can argue Taco Bell. Like I think highly enough of it, and like I can.
That's the
defend it.
beauty of it is, and a lot of the shit podcasting, and we have a YouTube series where it's like the key is, arguing seriously about non-serious topics.
Yeah, exactly.
Like take that shit, be passionate about.
Yeah.
What's like been your number one? Does any of the taste bud arguments stick out in your mind?
Yeah, weed versus alcohol was the one that really stands out.
Got passionate.
Sal and I
got heated.
It got as heated as it's ever gotten.
You're a big drinker, right? You were against weed.
Yeah, I fought against weed.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I had a lot of people come after me.
Yeah. The weed community. They are,
And they get mad.
It's like smoke some weed and chill out, dude.
Yeah, I know.
They're still also like you think they'd kind of like you won, man. Like my whole life, they were the fucking loud, annoying people, and like you won, you got it. It's basically
Everything's
legal
legalized,
everywhere. You
everyone's
can get
enjoying
weed
it.
just fine. Like
But
shut up.
now I almost feel like they're like a hipster with a band. You know what I mean? Like I was smoking weed when it was illegal. Like, oh, you don't hit the dab, dude. You don't fucking whatever all these different things are. It's like
It's weird because now a lot of there's this section of the weed culture that's like Bernie Bros or whatever, where it's like you're now acting like the drunks that everybody used to complain about.
Right.
Like I haven't seen a drunk this angry in a long time.
Right.
In a bar or whatever. Present company excluded. but like the weed people got like it was crazy. That episode was our biggest episode I think ever, and there were like 2,000 comments in the first week on the YouTube video, which is more than average and for us. And almost every comment was somebody calling me a stupid asshole because of my take on weed. But then I tripled down on it. I kept doing these fake apologies. Then I would twist it and be like I went on one morning like all disheveled at the beginning of an episode, and I was like, guys, I just want to, I was up all night thinking about the weed alcohol episode, and I was like, it just kept me awake all night reading your comments and everything. And I'm sorry about my appearance, but I didn't get any sleep because I was like, I just can't believe how right I was. and then at the end of it, I was like, I'm just kidding. I wasn't up all night. I just wanted to appear in a form that you fucking potheads could relate to. Once I started doing that, people started to be like, "All right, fuck it,
Like, we're not gonna win this one." Fine.
Yeah, but that was the one that stuck out. It's weird. Like people seem to have gotten more. Not aggravated, but like the ones that are not food related get a little more.
Actual like an argument,
not necessarily between me and we did pool versus beach, and we got a little hot on that one.
Yeah. I mean, we've done all these all throughout the time as well, and like people get really passionate about when I tell people that I prefer an above ground pool to an in ground pool. You would think I spit in their mother's face and like slap the baby. They get so mad.
I'm one of the people. I'm one of the people who get very offended by this.
What
comment.
makes you prefer? That's interesting. What makes you prefer? I mean, I'm
love
not
the white trash.
passionate enough either way about a pool, so I don't care.
I mean, it's
but-
because I grew up. Like my first pools were above ground, and I had so much fun in them. But logistically, I like that you can do the
I grew up in
whirlpool.
a small house too. I like big ones.
But I like that you
like
can do the
things that are
whirlpool.
better than how
I
I
like
was
whirlpools, and I like the rough waves, and those are objectively better in a above ground pool.
When was the last time you did a whirlpool?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do any of this shit anymore. When was the last time I've even like been in a pool? I don't do any of this. But when I did, you know, I know they look nicer, sure, all that, but I like the above ground pool with the little floating chlorine thing. And I like the rough waves, and I like, jumping out of it and like grabbing the ball and have to climb back in. I like all that shit. I don't know. It's white trash, and I enjoy it.
All right.
But people get mad.
Yeah.
Mad. And then I
Really?
lean into it because I'm an asshole. you know?
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Yeah, right.
I love being a dick.
But that's you know what, the one thing we always talk about here is there comes a moment in everyone's internet career, whether you're like post college and you're sitting in a cube at a desk on the computer all day long for the first time, and you start to read blogs or follow accounts or whatever, and you stumble upon the argument of whether you wipe your ass sitting down or standing up. And the people, because you don't know that there's another side to it until you're like 23. And then you're like, what? You do whichever the opposite side is. And it blows people's minds. And I have to remember that as like an entertainer, podcaster, host, whatever, I got to like do this argument again with the same gusto for those people who are recognizing it for the first time. When it's like, man, I have said 1,000 times, I think you're a fucking lunatic if you stand up with shit in your ass.
I think it's crazy too.
Crazy.
I just saw that.
Cheeks closed, kind of. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
No, that's not the way I do it.
Yeah, you just stand up and lean forward, right?
I guess they do. I don't know. I guess I
if
just
you
stand up.
straight up, your cheeks are going to close. See, that's crazy.
Yeah, I find
Got poopy cheeks.
I find the standing is not really. You're not people when they explain it. They're not standing.
Right, they're more
right?
just like leaning.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I know. I full stand.
Really?
Yeah, full stand.
Like, I didn't even know that till now, and that is despicable because you then have poopy cheeks.
I full stand.
You also, his shit habits are weird. It's like once a week maximum. It's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, like I'll be like this.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You're fucking trolling,
I
right?
absolutely.
You'll
will.
stand up and like check the time.
Like
and then
I
get
will.
the paper.
Okay, so in my toilet in my apartment. All right, see, it is fun to do though. Like, you gotta do it right away. You're like, all right, fuck it, let's go. I get it. So you have the toilet paper right there, and like I had a nice window right there looking out.
So you get up
and
and
I'll
check the
kind of
neighborhood?
like, all right, look around.
Oh, that's you're a filthy animal. You're disgusting.
I don't think.
You
I don't
should
think
get the
I knew
shit-
that people who stood didn't stand.
I think most. Of
I
the
think I'm
people-
learning right now that
doing
people who
kinda this.
stand don't actually stand.
just kinda do that.
No, that's not how I do it. I
You're-
fucking stand up.
You have shit in your ass cheeks that then close together.
I guess.
No.
Yeah.
It's like science.
I think. All right. So here's my.
You should
twist.
get the shit
I
out of your
think
ass
You
as soon
guys
as
aren't
possible.
I agree.
shitting right.
I shit. Listen, I have been shitting properly. I've been shitting for 36 years, man.
Dude,
I'm a
There's
expert
just
shitter.
not
I am a
shit in
professional
my
shitter.
ass cheeks when I stand.
Well,
like,
if you have a fucking nasty one, there is.
that never happens.
You got a clean. You're a clean shitter.
Is your ass hairy?
No, fucking heavens.
That's
no.
that's a huge.
Yeah.
hairy ass.
That's a huge part.
I'm
of
not
it.
hairy at all.
Well, then that's got a lot to do with why
Yeah.
you're getting away clean.
Right. I mean, you got a hairy ass. It's like putting, like Play-Doh through one of those toys. It just,
Yeah.
pushes through.
Betsy.
Yeah, it's gonna be gross, I do remember one time because I really don't understand standing. I just don't think it's necessary. And then I had the argument with Pat McAfee once, and he was like, "Work in a squat once or twice in your life. Like I physically can't do it. It's like my legs are so big, my arms are bigger." He's like, "If I'm sitting, I can't get in there. I have to like stand and."
Really?
Angle it because
I actually don't know if
all
I've-
right, listen, you're a professional punter. You probably got tree trunks for legs. I guess apparently you have stumpy arms, McAfee. I don't know. He probably has to go in from the front like a weirdo if he can't reach around his ass.
That's how you get. That's how you get a UTI.
Yeah.
Goes front to back.
I probably I've never even tried sitting. I probably couldn't do it not because of size, just because of flexibility. Like, I don't know if I got
Just
it.
lean. There's nothing flexible about it.
I'm never
Yeah,
gonna find out.
I just lean. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Lean to your left side or right side? I guess it depends if you're lefty or righty,
I
right?
lean left.
Because you're righty, right?
Yeah, I lean left. But yeah, I get it. Like once in a while, like you'll strike a nerve or something when you lean because you do it the wrong way or something.
Yeah.
But
the whole
it's-
leg immediately goes numb.
Yeah, it's not like my legs are already numb because I sit there for so long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With my
Long
phone
shitter?
or
I'm
my
a quick shitter.
magazine or Nintendo DS or whatever.
I'll be in there an hour, no problem.
Yeah. No, not an hour. But
But usually, because I usually
Dries up by that
I
point,
usually
like-
go shit to shower. I strip down, whole clothes off, and I do about an
naked shit.
hour process in the bathroom.
that's I do it in the morning.
Yeah.
Go right into the shower, but I still will take some serious time. I like to, relax. It's meditative in a way.
This is
Oh, it's
why
very.
this is why these arguments discussions work. You just did 10 minutes there. I understand it. There's something very I don't know, the arguing and debating, and especially nowadays, like it's almost like Taste Buds is taking what's awful about the internet now and making it enjoyable, because everything's so polarized. Nobody will ever just say like, "Oh fuck, you know what? You're right. Like I agree with you. I'm changing my opinion." And that's when it's in politics and sports and sex and all that shit. It's
Right.
annoying. But when you make it fun about like peanut butter cups versus Kit Kats or whatever, it's like then it becomes enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you two are good at it.
Thank you. Thank
I
you
mean,
very much.
the amount of like the dramatics that come out of it is very
and
funny.
it is real. Like we don't like, we're not like sitting there being like, okay, remember to get
say
really
this.
worked up or whatever. Like
yeah, right.
we really, the show started because Sal and I had a couple of those arguments for real in life. And then he was like, I think we could do a podcast of this. And then, so that's how it started. But like, we really felt that passionately. And then like when we started to expand it into taste, just meaning our taste,
Yeah. Movies.
that got even more fun. Well, movies is my other podcast. We'll probably never do movies.
Not movies, but you did
But, like-
Han Solo versus Luke Skywalker and that kind of shit.
That was a fun one. That one
Yeah.
got real crazy
right.
because you'll just get hung up on some dumb thing, And like I remember Sal kept saying like, I was saying like, let's just pull up pictures and see who looks cooler, and like we just Googled Han Solo and pulled up first 10 Google images, and Sal kept being like, well, it's not fair because you're getting the same outfit in every picture. And I was like, no, we're picking 10 pictures at random. Who looks cooler? And then Sal would be like, well, I'm going to Google Luke in the all black. No, you can't do that. We're going just who is just by definition cooler by the first 10 pictures that I'm getting like pissed off now talking because he didn't understand. And I was like fucking screaming at him. So like stuff like that, like will really... I don't really get too worked up about politics. I get really worked up about the little shit. Like that's
It's the way to be. Let the little things
That's how
give
I
you a heart
am.
attack.
yeah. I feel like I can at least maybe have an effect on those things,
Yeah.
Right.
possibly.
Right. And how did you and Sal link up? What's the connection there? Just like through the business, or
I met Sal. I had when I lived in LA. I was producing a weekly show because that's how bad stage time is out there. That I had a weekly show. It was like 18 years into fucking comedy or whatever it was. But anyway.
let it out, Joe. Let it out.
Place
Man.
sucks. I'm not a fan. Anyway, LA doesn't suck. Hollywood sucks.
How long were you there?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. Got a lot done. Don't want to live there.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, one night, one of the producers, I think her name was Emily, and she's like, oh my God, like it was right before the show started. She's like, oh my God, Sal Vulcano's in town and he wants to do the show. And I was like, who's that? Like, why are you freaking out? And she was like, he's on Impractical Jokers. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, you don't know Impractical? And I was like, no, I didn't know any of it. So I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like, you're so excited. Like, just have him come on the show. Like, whatever. And he came in, and we started talking, and I was like, man, he's a really nice guy. And I was like, hey, dude, like, I've heard of your show. Like, I heard it's really big. Like, congrats, that's great. And he was like, dude, I'm a big O&A fan, and I've listened to you on there, and I love your comedy. And I was like, That's all you got to say to me.
Right.
Spread the legs. Yeah. But we went drinking afterwards. We just hit it off, and we just went drinking, and I was like, I like this guy. And then he was like, I'm friends with Okerson, and I was like, oh, shit, okay. So
I think that's what some people don't sometimes realize about Sal and the Impractical Joker, because Impractical Jokers became this network TV or cable TV thing, and it's like he's a real comic who knows the real comics and funny as fuck, and
it was. It's funny. All of my friendships seem to be formed out of like nights of drinking.
That's
because I can tell.
how
I
it
like a
works.
guy.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna post up with me and we're really gonna get some, as Dan Soder says, get some work done.
Yeah.
Like I connect to people like that. So like Sal and I had 2 of those nights. I had a night with Sal. The second night where I was like, man, like we're really going to be friends was at a festival called Clusterfest in San Francisco, and I spent half the night it was the party for the comics. I spent half the night at the bar with Sal, and then I spent the other half of the night at the bar with Trevor Moore, rest in peace, and my friendship with both of them was born like out of that night. Like Trevor became one of my best friends.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's to me, that's how it should always. Like the people who don't like find their friends that way. I'm like, well, how do you find your friends?
Yeah, I know, right?
I think
Maybe met at like rec league tag. I'm probably gonna meet you at a bar.
Anything past like childhood, I'm gonna meet you and learn about you in a bar setting.
Yeah, it's 3.
And if not, we're probably not going to be friends at all. Anyway.
It's 3 options. It's substance abuse, church, or support group. Those are the 3 places that
I can meet you.
It all comes out.
Dude, you know what is the worst? I hate having kids and like, because I think back to my childhood, and my parents were friends with my friends' parents, and they seemed to be like real friends, And now that I'm doing that, I'm like, you're fine. I wouldn't mind talking to you on the sidelines of our kids' like soccer game for 15 minutes, but I don't be friends with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you younger than most of your like parents, or are you properly aged?
I don't even know their ages.
But it seems.
I mean, I certainly seem
you strike
younger
me as younger
because
but.
I think I live younger. Like
Right.
they show up in like boat shoes and khaki shorts with their polos tucked in, and looking like I look half the time. And they kind of know. Some of them know who I am, and so that gets weird. And I'm just like, let the clock hit 0 on this game, and let's get the fuck out of here, kids. I don't want to be friends with these people. They're just other dads, It's like that. But if I could sit with them at the bar, maybe I could learn what you need to learn about a guy.
Yeah.
That's where you find out who somebody is.
It's Pete Holmes and I are old friends, and I've known Pete from the beginning of comedy, my career, and he had a talk show on TBS for a while, and I was a monologue writer for the show for the 2 seasons it was on. And we did a monologue about our friendship, and it was the phases of friendship. And because we would joke in real life, you'd be like, roses, level 7. This is a new thing, we would keep note of it. Like, what was the first level? So we did a monologue about it. And, but it was all these things. It was like, level 2, the first time you get like fucked up with your friend, and they like to get fucked up the way you do. Level 3, shit talk. When you finally go, I'm going to talk shit to you about somebody right now, and if the person's like, I'm in.
Yes.
You're like, we got a thing going.
But you're saying shit talk about others.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I also think shit talking to each other, it's like if I'm nice to you, I probably hate your guts.
That was like level 4 was being mean to each other to make each other laugh or whatever. Like but it was all the steps that you go through.
That's a good like 10 commandments list. That should be set in stone.
I got to try to find them. I think the monologue is still on YouTube. I got to try to find it. But yeah, it was all the classic. Like, these are the things you do. Like, and if you see a red flag at any point with one of these stages, it will halt the friendship and can't go on. If I try to talk shit to you about somebody and you're like, I don't know, man, I'm like,
yeah, then you're out. Can't trust you.
We're done, yeah.
It's not gonna be fun to bust balls with people. Yeah.
So, and it's not like I can't be friends with you if you're not a drinker, but like, we're probably not going to be super.
But like, I can't really be friends with you.
It's like when someone comes around that doesn't drink, it's like, you can't fully trust them in the situation.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, we can be friends, but knowing that you're gonna have control of yourself this whole time, well, we don't. I don't like that.
Well, it's funny, man. Soder's one of my closest friends, and I never hang out with him.
Yeah.
He's one of my dearest friends. He really is.
Because you stopped drinking?
But we both get it because Soder's just like, yeah, man, I kind of stay home with my lady and I smoke a little weed, and that's what I do now. And it's like, I get it. Yeah. I don't do that. I love you. I'll see you around.
I also think when the person who stops drinking, I don't really drink much at all, and I certainly don't drink like I used to drink.
Right.
And it's like, so now I know you kind of don't want me there if you guys are going to tie one on, so I'm just going to bow out, but it's not like we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah.
But you have to that's got to be pre-established.
Yeah, it's
it's hard to become really close if you meet under those circumstances.
Yeah, you got to know at least. I think we've said before where it's like, if you're like, I don't drink and I never drank my whole life, that's weird. If you're like, look, I drank fucking too hard.
Yeah.
But also hang out, like, okay, you I can trust because you've been through shit. If you're scared to ever let yourself go, then I don't trust you.
Remember Brian Cox on Hard Knocks? Like the Rex Ryan.
Oh,
Hard Knocks,
like every man needs a vice.
Yeah, he's like every man needs a vice, and if you don't have a vice, I can't trust you. You know, you either do drugs or you fuck or you drink or whatever. But if you're like frontward facing, squeaky clean, you're probably like chopping bodies up.
It's absolutely true. I agree with that. Like, you know, one of the greatest, and I mean, I knew this about John already because he used to talk about it early on in stand-up, but my respect went up even higher for Mulaney when he was like, he got deep into a coke thing.
He was talking details too. When he came back, some of those sets he was doing, where he talking about the amount he had and where and when. I was like, woo, this is awesome.
I met John again early on in comedy, but like I met him when he first had become sober, and like he still did. I don't even think it. I might be wrong, but I don't think the material even made it to his first album. But he used to do material about doing coke and shit.
See, that
was like John Mulaney, like original John Mulaney. It was like kind of dark. It was still the same personality,
right?
But everybody now is like being like, oh, this new turn and whatever. And I'm like, no, that's kind of like who he used to talk about this shit. And I'm glad he's talking about it again.
Right. The sober shit was the turn.
I remember when I like first got into him, which is I think it was New in Town. What was the first like Netflix special? I think New in Town was the second. But he's in the gray suit. It's a blue backdrop.
New in Town's the first one, and then the Comeback Kid was the second one.
So it was New in Town where he's talking about like he talked about how he's sober and he can't drink anymore. But then the only story he ever told from that special on that I'd ever heard was like he was drunk at a high school party and he yelled cops and they all ran or whatever. And I remember thinking that I'm like, oh, that's not like you didn't have like a drinking problem. Like you were just 18. That's a different thing. And then now that he's telling more stories, like, oh, okay, you did have a substance abuse problem.
He did a thing to me, not to me, but I asked him to do it. But we were at Pete Holmes' house.
Okay. Where's this going, Joe?
We were at Pete Holmes' house for a party, and I said, John was talking about, this was before he relapsed, like when he got sober and all that. And I was like, John, I can't even picture you like being a bad drunk. Like, what were you like? And he was like, and he got right into my face, and he's like, you think you're fucking better than me? Like, and he started doing it, and he was like, that's what I was like. And he went into it so seamlessly that I was like, oh, okay, like he's got another thing that he can go to that he clearly does not like going to. But it was so convincing, and I was just like, all right, I can see it now.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it before, you know?
Yeah.
Because
he's so clean cut. The suit with everything is always like, from what I'd seen, again, because I don't know him and I didn't know his older stuff. I was like, oh, this isn't like...
You can't have a real problem.
Yeah, and then we saw him at night.
You wear a suit, you can't be a drunk.
That's
how it felt, right?
You shaved your face and you're wearing a suit? You're fine, man. You got life way more put together than I do.
Yeah, you can be, if you're in a suit, you always think, well, they could be like a Dean Martin drunk.
Yeah, but they can't be like you can tie a knot. It can't possibly be abusive or something.
That top button's still done. Everything's all set. Not even wedding mode yet.
But I know a lot of guys, and I won't name names because they don't talk about it openly on stage. But I know a lot of guys that are like squeaky clean on stage, like really give out like a very Nickelodeon vibe.
Really?
And they like to put it away, which makes me like them more. Like, I mean, it's. I'm not putting the emphasis on the booze itself. I'm putting it's like your friend said. You see a guy that seems to be well put together, and you learn he's got a vice. You're like, you're a normal person.
Yeah. That's what happens to humans. Yeah.
Like, you're not trying to portray this image of whatever. I can't stand people trying to put an image onto me, whatever it is. If you're drinking or, I've had friends that do drugs and do a lot of them. And every other week they're trying to tell you that they're not doing them. And you're like, dude, just do them.
Yeah,
Right.
Like, I don't care. It's not my business.
Look around, man.
Dude, I had a friend who was like that, who had he was doing a lot of drugs, but he was doing them so openly that I was like, whatever. And then he went to rehab, and he's like, yeah, the whole time I was with you, I was addicted to drugs. And I was like, but you were just doing them. Like, you weren't being sneaky about it. So I was just like, all right, he seems fine.
Right.
That logic still makes sense to me.
You're doing the fucking blasting off right in front of me.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I did cross my mind. You seem to be doing a lot of cocaine. But
Yeah.
Man,
I thought Tuesday cocaine was a thing. But
and then so you and Sal do Taste Buds, and then Sal's got to split his time with that fucking pig DeStefano.
What a pig.
What just a
He's
just
disgusting. I haven't made any
gutter.
videos about him in a while. I got to start making. Look at this is whiskey for DeStefano piggyback. Yeah, he's an animal. Yeah, and then I do another podcast called "We'll See You in Hell" with my friend Pat Walsh, where we review movies, mostly horror, but all kinds of movies, and that's a lot of fun to do too.
You got a horror thing?
Huge horror collection, huge horror enthusiast.
What's your number one franchise?
It's tough to say. It used to be Creepshow, but this new series has really
know
sucked.
what that one is. What's Creepshow?
Creepshow was a movie that George Romero, Stephen King, and Tom Savini made in the 80s. And then they made Creepshow 2, and then they made Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, which was the unofficial Creepshow 3. I think that's a perfect trilogy of horror movies. Unfortunately,
Do you know it?
I have never heard of
they've
them.
they've turned into a series now on Shudder, and it's been pretty bad. But so I guess Creepshow, maybe Nightmare. You got to always tip your hat to Nightmare on Elm Street just for what it did
on
globally.
Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street when I was probably like 5 and 6, and I had an older brother, so I was watching that shit pretty early. But that always was like the Nightmare on Elm Street is just a great concept. The idea of you can't fall asleep because you're gonna fucking do it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that was that one to me.
But it's like franchises are tough because particularly in horror because they go for so many episodes. And it's hard to be like, well, a great franchise is this because chances are they've put a lot of doozies in. Yeah,
that's I don't.
Point.
I'm not. I always say I'm not scared of horror, but then I go through how many horror movies I have not seen, and it's like, well, you might be scared of horror, dude. But so
I found out. I feel like I'm a pussy as I'm getting older. I feel like I'm afraid to watch scary movies. I'm like, what are you? You a fucking child?
I will almost like my brain will know. It's like go to sleep, and I'll fall asleep during a horror movie because it's like we don't want to see this stuff.
I don't see anymore.
But I watched Friday the 13th recently, the new one. I forget exactly what it's called. Not Friday the 13th, Halloween, the new Halloween. And
terrible.
It was so bad. It was
terrible.
It was almost impossibly.
That's
bad.
one of the franchises I'm referring to. It's like Halloween has some classics. But my God, man, they just won't let it go.
But then the movie guys here were explaining to me that because I've seen a smattering of them here and there, and then they were explaining to me how these 3 movies are on this timeline, and then these 3 movies are Jamie Lee Curtis isn't Jason's sister timeline, and then these movies are on that timeline. And I was like, wait, they go through different timelines with the same character. They're just
different
trying,
producers,
trying new ways to shoot it. It's
awful.
crazy.
Well, they do that with everything now because now they can retcon any mistake they've ever made. So everybody does that. Spider-Man's now doing that with the Spider-Verse. The new one is going to fix the Andrew Garfield missteps.
Right.
It's going to fix the Raimi trilogy kind of tapering off and never getting the 4th installment it was supposed to have, whatever. The new Flash movie is Infinite Earths, DC, so it's like they've got
It's like a loophole.
Keaton's in it, like all the Batman, Affleck's in it, all the Batmans are. It's a great way, they're doing it now with Star Wars too. Like all the books and video games are considered the Legends timeline now, and then the movies are the canon, and they can do this with this is how you fix it now,
right? Yeah,
which is fine. That's what comic books do all the time.
But it's like, let's if you fuck it up, let's get it right. You know what I mean? Let's give the fans what they want and fix this problem. Which is why I did you watch Dexter?
No.
So Dexter had a notoriously horrific ending.
Yeah,
and then 10 years, 12 years, I don't know how many years later, they are doing this new final season. And so far, that shit sucks.
Does it? Yeah. I've heard nothing about it.
I was like, no, this has got to be good. It's the original people. There's no way they would bring it back if it also stunk. Like, they have to know they have a home run on their hands. And I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I'm like, this is fucking also bad.
Are they ignoring the events of the finale, the original finale?
No, because he's in the very end he goes to become a lumberjack, and it's set in Alaska or wherever the fuck he is. So
I think he's in Massachusetts or
okay, whatever. It's some cold town. Yeah. But I'm like, this is fucking bad. How do you do that? You got to know that they can't be sitting there being like, this lives up to season 1 or season 4. Or no, this shit sucks.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, that's why I'm not too mad at this infinite realities approach to things now, at least to fantasy stuff, because, worst case scenario, I'm going to get more of something.
Yeah. And if it's bad,
and if it's bad, then I just go, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I always said that with people when the sequel ruined it. Like, did it? The sequel was a cash grab.
Doesn't affect the first movie.
And because the example that people always talk about too is Caddyshack and Caddyshack 2. Like Caddyshack 2 ruined the franchise. I don't even know if I've ever seen Caddyshack 2.
Yeah,
Caddyshack's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How did it ruin it?
Yeah, it's just like, who gives a shit? But then also too, if the new thing sucks, I'll say it sucks.
Right.
And I'll say maybe it's time to let it go. But at the same time, Ghostbusters just did it. I liked it. I
thought it was great.
Ghostbusters, yeah.
I mean, it was fun. It was fan service.
Yeah.
It was I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever produced, but new, old, mixed together, good storyline.
It was kind of setting up the new,
the new era.
New era. I felt like we're going to see more of the new guys and the old guys. And
I also I get bent out of shape when people are mad about it's Ghostbusters, man. It's supposed to be fun and stupid, and we're talking about like somebody was like, what does this do to further the the timeline of the story? I don't know, man. They're just doing it with the new kids.
Norton,
shut up.
Norton, I was on Jim and Sam, and I'm all excited. I'm going to go see Ghostbusters today, and Norton goes, ugh, why? And I go, what, you don't think it'll be any good? And he goes, how could it be? It's a 40-year-old ghost franchise.
All right, so we got the podcast, and then and the
Joey Rose's.
Joey Rose's on 171. What'd you say it was?
I'll plug everything. Joey Rose's 174 Rivington Street in the Lower East Side of New York City. Come see us. We're open Wednesday through Sunday right now. We open at 12 p.m. every day. Full bar, sandwiches, expanding menu as we go. We'll be 7 days soon enough.
What's the best sandwich on the menu?
I mean, everybody's got their favorite. The local seems to do really well, which is a turkey and roast beef with hot cherry peppers, tomatoes, onions, mayonnaise, white American cheese. There's a sandwich called the Eastie that's peppadews, prosciutto, salami, Asiago cheese.
I was hoping there was maybe going to be a couple sandwiches because I'm hungry. They're going to come by with gifts for us, you fucking asshole.
You know what? I need to start doing that.
Yeah, it would have been great.
I keep getting shit that I'm not doing that. It really adds a whole other hour to your day. Anyway, so come see us at Joey Rose's, joeyrosesnyc.com. Taste Buds is available every Monday on YouTube, full video on the No Press Network channel. You can also get audio every episode wherever you get your podcast from. And then We'll See You in Hell. Back catalog is completely available wherever you get your podcast from and on Starburns Audio. And then the new episodes are on patreon.com/WSYIH podcast.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, guys.
We're creeping up on 100,000 subscribers. It's all I've ever wanted for the last decade is to get to 6 figures. So just fucking do it. I'm getting so sick of being the amount. I see all these other people getting 100,000 subscribers and they're getting their plaques and they're not even close to the level of KFC Radio. They're not Barstool people. They're just like, they just get 100,000 people somehow and we can't. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for you. So click the fucking button. And even if you don't use YouTube, you just have a Gmail account. You just sign in and fucking click subscribe.